Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshal. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch, childhood obesity, a growing crisis. And in the second watch, what is a possible connection between President Trump and his term in office, the blood moon, and the present war in the Middle East? Part 2. The first part was yesterday in yesterday's second watch. For our social media question, we ask, at home, what is the biggest challenge in getting your children to eat healthy? Share your responses on our Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-9973-125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. And in our I quote, Jukal.
All right, today's I quote says, mercy means the most when it's hardest to give. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I'm a little bit more familiar with what this one might be saying.
Yeah.
Means the most when it's yes. Okay. All right, cool. No problem. Good. Good morning, Jukal.
Good morning.
Well, the first watch. We'll be back after this break.
Hey, small people crew, it's me, Auntie Vashti, and there's so much about Jamaica. I can't wait to share it with you. Join me this Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on the Small People Show, where little voices make big sounds. Listen every Thursday on Jamaica Up Close. It's all about our treasured island, Jamaica, from fun facts to hidden gems and all the things that make us truly special. Don't miss out. Tune in this and every Thursday on Jamaica Up Close at 4:30 p.m. with me, Auntie Vashti, only on the family station, Love 101.
Small people doing big things forevermore.
To the women who give to everyone else, this International Women's Day, gain the future you deserve with Sagicor. Get protection with Sagicor Life's Total Woman Critical Illness Insurance. 10% off and a gift from Advantage General Ultimate Woman Auto Insurance. Special mortgage and auto loan rates, plus 7,500 credit card bonus points with Sagicor Bank. Lower trading fees with Sagicor Investments. Call 888-SAGICOR to learn more. Conditions apply.
Hey, my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status, if you consider, the least you ever test once a year. Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn too late, so you're out of time. A progressive future, mandatory, really long life, our story. You hear?
Remember, update your status in a real life. Go HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Really long life, our story. Real long life for youth, coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
This is Flow, Jamaica's fastest mobile network, as verified by Ookla. It's the result of a complete network rebuild, with more power backup to reduce outages and satellite backup for greater mobile stability. You can even make regular calls using Wi-Fi. Welcome to our new era of connectivity, and we're not stopping there. This is Flow, Jamaica's network.
Jamaica Central Bank digital currency is now here. Jamnex, no cash, no problem. Step into a future of ease, convenience, and security. Conduct business with your mobile device instantly and without fees. This is how life should be with Jamdex. You catch it free. Jamdex are the real free. Use it to buy your soap or TV. You can buy your shoes or 3-piece. The central bank digital currency. No cash, no problem. Jamdex, backed by the Bank of Jamaica.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshal. And of course, we are in the first watch. And the whole matter, this topic of childhood obesity, a growing crisis. Now, there has been a news report from the World Obesity Federation raising serious concerns about the health of children worldwide. And we have here reference to the World Obesity Atlas 2026, which projects that the number of children living with obesity could grow from 177 million in 2025 to 228 million by 2040. And of course, here in Jamaica, it is indicated that we have our own challenges. Nearly 1 in 4 teenagers is said to be already overweight or obese. And obesity among adolescents has almost doubled in recent years, it has been indicated. And, well, are we then looking at a public health situation that needs to be corrected right now? We have as our guest Rashid Perry, PhD candidate, Department of Nutrition and Food Studies, New York University food scientist and nutritionist, and Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, Senior Associate Lecturer and Consultant in Pediatrics, Tropical Medicine and Public Health at UWI and CRH. Good morning, Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert. Good morning, Rashid Perry.
Good morning.
That's Mr. Perry. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, are you with us? Not sure if I'm seeing you. I think you're muted, Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert.
Oh, sorry about that. Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to join you in this topic of special interest to me as well. Thank you.
Well, let's start with you, Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert. Do we have any statistics about the current situation in terms of childhood obesity in Jamaica? It is said 1 in 4 teenagers is already overweight or obese, but would you mind taking us to the source of that information? And would you also mind assisting us in terms of where the projections, how those projections were arrived at in terms of the worldwide World Obesity Atlas, which is saying that from, well, projecting a growth from 177 million persons who were obese in 2025 to 228 million by 2040, these persons, of course, being children. Go ahead, Dr. Tracy.
Well, all right. Well, the information that we have is from the Global School-Based Student Health Survey. And what that found was that 23%, that's basically almost 1 in 4 students aged 13 to 17 are overweight and obese. And, you know, between 2010 and 2017, among Jamaicans, the rate of obesity raised from about 6% to around 10%, and it doubled in boys. In addition to these statistics, we have some information about sedentary activities. About half of the children spend 3 or more hours on sedentary activities like screen time, and about only 1 in 4 do their recommended 1 hour physical activity. And so we are seeing that not only is there a reduction in physical activity, but we're seeing an increase in consumption of fast foods during the week. About 66% of our adolescents are consuming fast food at least once per week. And so this survey that the Obesity Federation raised is a global problem, but Jamaica is actually showing us some statistics that are of great concern, because if our children are prone to obesity, this is our future economic human capital that is going to, you know, have chronic non-communicable disease and have risk of early death. So this is actually an important crisis that we need to address ASAP.
Well, following on the heels of what you just said, because you've said quite a bit. Now, in terms of obesity, give us a definition, because we hear words like fat, obese, overweight. Can you give us some working definitions of these terms?
Okay, so we used a body mass index, which is just a ratio of your height to your weight. And then they use that, they have charts that compare males and females, and they have an age-based comparison. So if you fall over a certain percentile, 95th percentile, it makes you obese. And there are charts that we use in our clinics with our children. And when we plot their weight and their height and their body mass index, we can see that they exceed the 95th percentile for their required age and gender. And that gives us an indication about their current health status as it relates to their weight.
When you say gender, you mean sex?
Yes, like males and females, they'll have a different, because of their body habitus, they will have different values for comparison. And so you can calculate it for yourself. Your weight in kilograms over your height in centimeters squared, and you will get a value. And then you can go on the internet and see what normal is for your age, your body mass index for your age and gender. And you can determine if you're falling into overweight or obese category.
I see. So for someone who is 6 feet tall and is male, could you give an example as to what would be considered obese from a weight perspective?
Well, as I said, we have charts to determine that, but you made a very important point. A 6-foot male who weighs 80 kilograms compared to a 5-foot male of the same weight, they're going to have different comparisons because it's a ratio of your weight to your height. So that shorter person is going to be considered obese, and that 6-foot guy might be within a normal range because of his height. So in terms of what a number is, maybe Rashid, you could give a number, but certainly it is really based on a chart that gives you values that will tell you exactly what that is.
And for those of us who think in pounds, 80 kilograms, I think, translates to about 176 pounds. Rashid Perry, sir, nutritionist, PhD candidate. Any thoughts on what we have said so far?
I think just to add to the conversations that we've been having, when it comes to the rise in obesity that we're seeing, to be very honest, it has a lot to do with the foods that we have available and the change in how our children are being socialized. And this has to do with generational changes. So, for example, our kids tend to be more involved in screen time than, let's say, playing outside.
When you say screen time, just for the benefit of everyone concerned,
sure.
You mean sitting, looking at your phone?
Looking at the phone, looking at the tablets,
tablets, yes.
Playing video games. So you find that children are less active.
Not running up and down outside.
As before.
Not riding a bicycle.
Not even riding a bicycle. And then on top of that, we have a lot of what are known as ultra processed foods. So these are foods that have additional things in them that you can't find in your kitchen, right? So a lot of times these foods are very convenient. So you find that kids have easy access to them. Parents will provide them because they're convenient. And when we look at, for example, foods that you would consider healthy, let's say you want them to have more fruits and vegetables, oftentimes they're too expensive. So parents have to find other ways.
Oftentimes they are really too expensive.
Yes.
But we're upon a break already. Rashid Perry, hold that thought, please. Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, please hold those thoughts. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
No cash, no problem. Use Jamdex, Jamaica's central bank digital currency. The time by Jamdex is
7:15 a.m.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshal. We're in the first watch. The conversation is about the topic, childhood obesity, a growing crisis. Our guests are Rashid Perry, PhD candidate, Department of Nutrition and Food Studies, New York University food scientist and nutritionist. And we have Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, senior associate lecturer, and consultant in pediatrics, tropical medicine, and public health at UWI and CRH. And Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, we assume that UWI means University Hospital of the West Indies?
Well, I'm not at the hospital. I'm a lecturer at the university.
At the university itself?
Yes, okay, university itself, correct.
And CRH is Cornwall
Regional Hospital, correct.
Right.
Yes.
So thank you for that clarification. Rashid Perry, you're making a point before the break, sir, about the ultra-processed foods and the easy access parents are giving these to the children, that they we call them the natural foods are too expensive, and sometimes they are too expensive. Rashid Perry, continue, sir.
Yeah, so because of that dynamic, you find that parents, to make ends meet, are often introducing these foods to their children. You can't blame them per se, because oftentimes this socialization happens.
Why can't you blame them?
Because
not making anyone feel bad enough, but I'm just asking if you really made the effort. These are your children.
You can make the effort, but at the same time, if the money isn't there, then you have to try as best as possible to work.
The doctor bill will be your bill, or the child's bill. Later on, the child becomes an adult. No,
it's the truth. It is the truth. It is the truth. But it's the issue that we're facing at the moment when it comes to affordability. And also you have another dimension when it comes to marketing. So some of these foods are marketed as being the healthiest thing that has ever been made. And then we're making decisions based on a lot of these marketing ploys that are used. And you find that marketing is not only happening to the parents, it's also happening to the children. So the children see the characters, they see the ads, they want the foods. The parents, want to make the kids happy, so you provide the same foods. So it tends to be a holistic issue when approaching how to really address what we're going through right now. But to be very honest, we have to do better in making healthy foods more accessible.
Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, you've heard Rashid Perry. Now, at what age are children able to understand the importance of good eating habits and being responsible in terms of expecting, or is it that we are expecting too much of them? Are we expecting them to essentially plan their own meals? Because sometimes, unfortunately, the children are sort of left to their own devices because the food might be in the refrigerator, but parents are oftentimes busy, not there, they're tired. Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert.
Let me tell you something. Healthy eating in a child starts from breastfeeding. So the mother is the person that's going to decide from the get-go. And promoting breastfeeding early is one of the first important steps in good nutrition. And then the parents provide the supply chain to the fridge and the cupboard. It's not the child that is going to purchase the food, it's the parent. So what happens though is that the easily accessible snacks.
Can you speak a little louder so Rashid Perry can?
I'm sorry.
So that Rashid Perry can hear you. I'm driving him.
Oh, okay.
As Rashid Perry was essentially indicating, well, it is what it is. These are the foods that are available. But you are very strident, Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert. You're saying that the parents must take over the reins and ensure that the refrigerator has the right foods in there. Yes.
That's correct. So, the parents control what gets in the fridge. But
you
can get your children to be involved in the food planning so that they feel part of the process. You understand? So it's not going to be war. I'm giving you this and eat it or else. Because that is actually something that prevents the children from enjoying healthy foods when there is a battle with the foods. So it starts from early. And when we introduce early good food choices, the children have a virgin mind and tongue and taste buds, so they are taking what you offer them, and they learn new habits from the environment that they're living in.
I don't think people realize just how much our taste buds become accustomed to what we're introduced to.
Absolutely. And one of the problems as parents is that we use food as rewards. Oh, you got a good grade, let's go to Burger King. Let's get some KFC as a prize.
Let's have some cake.
So we have to learn to reward our children with non-food, treats, so that they don't think, okay, it's a treat to have fast food. because that is how we treat it, you know. So we have to socialize our children different, as Rashid says. It is an environment that the children are living in. We are enabling them to eat these unhealthy things and make them obese.
Rashid Perry, any thoughts
Yeah.
you want to share? Before I want to ask you something, but go ahead, sir.
Sure. Actually, I agree with Dr. Gilbert that it
I know you do,
starts
man. I'm
from
just driving you, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
That it starts from the very beginning.
Yes.
A lot of times we introduce these foods rather early,
Yes.
and the children are conditioned to wanting and liking
Conditioning.
these foods.
Conditioning.
Yes.
Yes, conditioning.
So it tends to happen over time. And also, one important part is modeling the behavior. So
The parents
you,
can't be wanting the children to eat healthily, whilst the
right,
parents are not.
right. So if you're saying, for example, I want my kids to eat more fruits,
Yes.
but then your kids are not seeing you eating any fruits.
Not seeing
When
you do it.
when you make dinner, there's no vegetables on the plate, but there's vegetables on their plate.
Yes.
So you're not modeling the behavior that you want for the kids to follow. So, you know, it again, it tends to be like a holistic approach when looking at really making that change for our kids.
Yes.
And that involves, as Dr. Gilbert said, you know, the parents are responsible for the food access and what's available.
Understood.
So a lot of control happens from that standpoint.
No, I didn't. Well, I'm not sure if this is even relevant, but it might be. You know, it might just be relevant. Is there any difference you're seeing, Rashid Perry? You can weigh in as well, Dr. Evans Gilbert, but Rashid Perry, starting with you. Do you see any difference or distinction between families with a higher income versus those with a lower income in terms of eating habits and childhood obesity? Do you see any differences there? Is it that the children from homes where there is more income, they are able to have better eating choices and are not as likely to be obese versus other children who are not so well off? Or you're not really seeing that divide? Rashid Perry.
I mean, with more income, you have better access.
We know that, but I mean, are you seeing on the ground? Are you seeing based on the data? Are you seeing a differentiation, or it's not really shown in that way?
Well, I haven't looked at the data to see the differentiation, to be very honest. So probably Dr. Gilbert could speak to that. Okay. But based on what I'm seeing, well, let's say here in the US, for example, the difference is the lower income households, you're finding more prevalence of obesity and undernutrition existing in the same aspect.
And undernutrition.
Yeah, meaning that, you know, they're not consuming enough of other nutrients.
So maybe they're not obese, but they're having other challenges because
there
of
may be other nutrition. Right. So there may be other challenges. But what is very important is that those persons who are living in lower income neighborhoods, those who, you know, can't afford the healthy food, the obesity rates are climbing, and they're climbing steadily over time.
And you can be undernourished and still obese.
Yes.
Rashid Perry.
Yes, so both can happen in the same person. So for example, you can be obese, but then you're lacking in magnesium, for example, or you're lacking in vitamin A. So it both can happen in the same person.
Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert.
Okay.
In here.
Thank you for that important question. So basically, globally, they're seeing a rise of obesity in lower middle income countries, not just high income countries. And it balances even in here in Jamaica. We're seeing it in both sectors. As you said, it's an enabling environment. If the families provide the food that is not healthy, then their children will be obese. And so whether you're rich or poor, if you don't give your children the right food, they're going to be obese. You understand? So it's not a rich man, poor man story. It's really about an enabling environment and parents who provide the unhealthy food choices and teach them from early that it's a treat to have these junk foods, you know. And when I take a history from my patients, What do you provide for snacks? You know, that list off all of the packaged things, because that's something you grab in the supermarket and it's cheap, it's available. No, if fruit was cheap and available, and it was in the fridge and cut up in pieces and put in a little bag and put in your lunch pan. So you have to reframe it. How are you going to make it accessible to your children? And this is a policy issue as well. Are we going to make healthy foods easier to access in our families?
Thankfully, I grew up on green banana and such things. Rashid Perry, before we wrap today, if you could recommend a national intervention strategy, of course, I'm going to be asking Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert to weigh in on this. But Mr. Perry, if you were to recommend a national intervention strategy for Jamaica, what might that look like?
Well, I'm a big proponent of subsidizing and providing subsidies to making healthy foods cheaper. I think we had such a
That's
good
going to be
campaign.
another. You know, you have to you have to have a conversation with the Minister of Finance now, Mr. Perry. Subsidizing. It
Yeah.
sounds good to say in a program like this, but where is the money going to come from? Continue, sir.
To be, other countries have done it, so I think we
No other
can look
countries
at.
might have done it, sir, but we're dealing with our current fiscal reality. But continue your thoughts, sir.
Yeah. So there are ways for us to provide subsidies by shifting funding from certain areas, but we don't have any time to go through that. But
Interesting. Think subsidies is one. Any others? Any others?
We could also look at policies targeting marketing, and marketing to children.
Front of label packaging.
Front of label packaging, for example. The ads that are run.
I'm not saying I'm advocating for that, by the way. I'm just trying to see if that's what you're thinking, sir.
Well, that's one of them. That's one of the tools we can use. We can also look at the ads that are run.
Some of the companies that produce these products might not like Mr. Perry, no?
I mean, but it's these are the tools that we have to use, so we'll have to use them to address the issue.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Perry. Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, in the time that we have left.
Yes. Listen to me. Jamaica has policies. We have our national school nutrition policy. We have our prevention of control of obesity in children policy. And all of them has beautiful things that we speak about: school marketing and front of label packaging, etc., etc. So it is on paper. Implementation is what needs to be done. We know what to do. We just need to do it. But we need to provide an enabling environment. And I am a proponent of physical activity. I do not think we have enough safe outdoor spaces for children to play in. You see people kicking ball on a little open lot somewhere. But the truth is that urban planning needs to put safe spaces for children to go outside to play. They sit and look on their computers because they can't ride a bicycle. It's not safe. There's no safe place for them to do what they ought to be doing. So my recommendation.
Evans Gilbert, we used to ride the bicycle and it was totally unsafe. We had no helmet, but nobody made an issue.
Exactly. What we need
never happened to us if you drop, you just get up and dust yourself off and take water, wash it off.
And this is an AI generation, and we need to know. Gamify their.
We were fine. We are fine. We're all fine. We're fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. We have the policies. Let them happen. Parents need to take this responsibility also in their homes. Take it straight to the nitty-gritty, right in the fridge, in the kitchen. You take control of your kitchen immediately, and get your kids out there playing. That's what I'm going to recommend for you.
And we used to go inside, and there was this mercurial comb and all sorts of ointment you put on the cut, and it used to sting at your. But we survived. We were fine.
We need to normalize physical activity and normalize healthy eating. We just need to normalize it and provide the environment for them to appreciate
and
it.
Be more active again. Yes. I want to thank you, Dr. Evans Gilbert and Mr. Perry, for being guests with us in this first watch. Very, very, very interesting discussion. And we do hope that people will become more healthy, children and adults as well. Thank you for your time and for your thoughts.
Thanks. Thank you very much for
Listeners
inviting.
and viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
just about 7:31 a.m.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
So you can make the par, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Not every youth in the ghetto takes up a gun and becomes a criminal. Why should the good ones who don't do it, who are the majority, 95% of them, suffer for the 5% that do? Until our society stands up in unison and say no more of this, we will be just. We will provide you with the opportunities that you are properly integrated into society, but there will be firm consequences for you if you decide to pursue a life of crime and deprive everybody else of their safety.
The preceding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Share in the experience at Fontana Pharmacy. We have a wide variety of items in store just for you. Fill your prescriptions while you shop. And senior citizens enjoy 10% off. Shop household, cosmetics, toys, and many other departments. We also offer curbside pickup and delivery. Visit our website at fontanapharmacy.com. Fontana Pharmacy, where it's all good inside.
You could win a return on your taxes. Pay your taxes with your Sagicor Bank business credit card at Tax Administration Jamaica or online for your chance to be one of 2 lucky winners of $500,000 cashback. Earn an entry for every $100,000 spent on taxes between February 27 and April 15. Plus, enjoy a 1-month payment holiday up to 55 days interest-free and unlimited reward points. Visit Sagicor.com to learn more. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshal. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what the Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Gleaner a bit of news here of concern. And the headline here is 3 hours missing. It goes on to read, minutes before 5 p.m. on Tuesday, a 17-year-old student of a school in the corporate area took a taxi in the busy commercial district of Crossroads, St. Andrew, expecting what should have been a routine trip to extra classes minutes away in Halfway Tree. The journey ended hours later in confusion, distress, and unanswered questions after the teenager said she was abducted inside of the vehicle and left with no memory of what happened during several missing hours. The reports did not indicate if the taxi was a red plate carrier or a route taxi. Well, we have a bit of positive news here in the Gleaner, thankfully. This one reads, Cornwall Mountain family get new house blessing after hurricane. And we now turn to the Observer. Defense questions cops video recording of clans accused. This story by Alicia Dunkley Willis. And we also have in the Observer, this headline is quite an interesting headline. The headline is one word, nasty, with an exclamation sign. Waltham residents call on motorists, community members to stop dumping garbage in the area. This story by Renee Osborne. Those and many other stories in our newspapers coming up next. Well, both major newspapers coming up next. We'll share with you some of the feedback from our social media question, and that is, at home, what is the biggest challenge in getting your children to eat healthy? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Every day, Rosie has a glass of fruit drink with breakfast, an energy drink on the way to work, a flavored water with lunch, and 2 glasses of soda with dinner, which adds up to more than 50 teaspoons of sugar a day. And all that extra sugar could bring on obesity. Are we drinking ourselves sick? 71% of Jamaicans support a tax on sugary drinks. Help tackle obesity and protect our children's future. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica.
When you're enjoying life, critical illness is one of the last things on your mind. But the risk is real. Critical illness has many faces. Young and old, male and female are being affected. Be prepared with critical illness insurance from Sagicor Life. It gives you financial protection when you need it most, with a 25% payout on early diagnosis of non-invasive cancer. Protect what matters. Speak to a Sagicor Life advisor or purchase online at elife.sagicorjamaica.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshal. Now for your responses to our social media question. At home, what is the biggest challenge in getting your children to eat healthy? Chukal.
All right, so we have some responses here. Cherry in Spanish Town. Yes, we have some responses. Cherry in Spanish Town says the biggest challenge is when we don't train them from early to acquire the taste of healthy food and vegetables. It's not a one-time taste. Different colorful mixtures of foods, more water, less juice. Steph says no, not one. All right, and also Miss Davis. Miss Davis says food have to eat, and what these people do is just talk. So yeah.
Interesting responses. We move right into the second watch now. In the first part of our discussion, just yesterday, we looked at the growing conversation around the blood moon and why celestial events sometimes spark prophetic, discussions about prophecy. And of course, you can look back at the program yesterday on YouTube, Love 1 FM, and of course, Facebook. Now, Apostle O'Neill Richards revealed quite a bit just yesterday, but we have more ground to cover this morning. Apostle O'Neill Richards, founding pastor and apostle of Mahanaim Shalom Christian Church, convener of Free at Last International Ministries. Apostle O'Neill Richards, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir. I'm very fine, sir. Yesterday, sir, well, we won't be repeating everything you said yesterday, but we had come to certain points, and one of the things we had wanted to dive into some more is the connection that you might be seeing between, or what you believe the Lord has revealed to you about President Trump, the current war in the Middle East, and the blood moon. You already indicated to us yesterday that around the time that Israel and the US struck Iran militarily, it was around the time of Purim.
That's correct.
Around that time, yes. And you gave us a history of what, or the genesis of this matter of Purim.
Yes, but the Hebrew festival what took place started about the time of Esther.
Yes. And you went through the whole history. Mordecai,
that's
Haman,
our uncle. And Haman, who was also from Persia. And at the time, he was one of the leaders at the time. And we know Persia is now what we call Iran.
Yes.
So it was quite an interesting coincidence that on the time that
geographically the boundaries might have changed somewhat, but it's the same general area.
Yeah. That's right. All
right. So what we want to do today, Apostle Richards, we want you to take us further now. If you can outline for us as carefully as you can, but as we know that, of course, this is morning radio, so we want to be as economical with our time as possible. But at the same time, as thoroughly as you can, take us from where you left us yesterday and continue, sir. Continue, please, Apostle Richards.
All right. So we did establish that one of the reasons why the blood moons is so at the same time that the attack took place on Iran. It was also simultaneously the time when the blood moons were taking place, and the blood moons is really a time when the moon becomes red, and there's an eclipse that takes place where the sun is eclipsed. And of course, the Bible does talk about the sun, the moon turning to blood in a couple of scriptures which we mentioned yesterday, from Acts, from Joel, and from Book of Revelation. And the significance of that, of course, is that what we have found in scripture is that based on the book of Genesis, the Moeds is what it's called in Genesis, where God created the sun, moon, and stars. But it makes the point that the Moeds are times of special appointments and divine seasons when God would come and establish certain activity, where he would come to meet with mankind, where he would come to meet with his people, and also where he would come for judgments, where he would also come for special acts in the earth. And so we would classify that as a special act in the earth, where he would come. And of course, for it to happen at the same time as Purim was quite significant. And the fact that it was the exact nation that Purim points to, with Persia, which is Iran, as you said, geographically, the area has changed somewhat. That is also quite significant. And what we got in church, that is at Mahanim, as we prayed, we were in a season of prayer. And as we were praying, the Lord basically led us to pray more focused prayers away from some of what we were praying, because we were praying for the nations and all of that. And he said, led us to pray about Haman and Purim. Now, this is 2 or 3 weeks before all of this happened. And so
yesterday, sir, yes.
Yes. And so he led us to pray about Purim and about Haman and Haman and that hostility between Haman and Israel, and also the attempt to destroy Israel. And also this, so for us, it meant that there was something prophetic that was happening related to Israel. We didn't know the details. All we knew that we needed to pray, and there was something significant that was going on. And so we gave it a lot of attention. And of course, what we discovered is as we prayed for Iran, prayed for Israel, prayed for about Haman and the attacks against Israel, etc. We discovered
there was
a blood moons, and next, of course, that there was an attack that was happening later on after that dream, after that prophecy.
Right. So, are you suggesting, or even taking it higher than a suggestion, that the Israel-US attack on Iran is God ordained? This is what I'm trying to get.
What I'm saying is that I'm not saying it is God ordained. I'm saying it is clear that there is a spiritual thing that's going on. It is clear that there is a sovereign move in the earth.
Let me ask a provocative question. Could it be demonically ordained? God.
I've had visions that point to the fact
hold that thought for a second, Apostle Richards. Only because of time, you have had visions or thoughts, I think you said, or visions. Hold that thought for a second. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch, listeners and viewers. Please stay with us.
GT Sound Limited proudly presents The Experience Gratitude Edition with Prodigal Son, Ryan Mark, John Mark Wigan, Alicia Taylor, and more. MCs Nadine Blair and Markland Action Edwards. Tickets at spuropen.com/theexperience26. Saturday, April 4, Manchester High School. Gates open 5 p.m. Showtime 7 p.m. Come with your best praise as GT Sound celebrates 40 years. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshal. We are in the second watch. The topic is, what is the possible connection between President Trump and his term in office, the blood moon, and the present war in the Middle East? It's part 2 from yesterday's discussion, yesterday's second watch. And we have, again, as our guest to continue, Apostle O'Neill Richards. Apostle Richards, just before the break today, I asked you whether the Israel-US attack on Iran was God ordained, and you did not say yes. I then flipped it and said, well, is it demonically ordained? Is that what you're saying? And you began to respond by you referred to a vision. Please continue.
All right, I will be short with the vision. Basically, last year, August, I had a vision, and the vision was that, well, a dream really. And in it, I saw under the mountains in ancient part of that part of the world, I heard spiritual, in Daniel, it talks about the Prince of Persia, and Prince of Persia is referred to as a principality, a spiritual principality, as the Bible teaches.
A spiritual demonic principality.
A spiritual demonic. Yes, principality. Or I prefer to say a principality that is an evil spirit.
Thank you.
Yes, that basically in Daniel's vision, when Daniel was praying for Israel, and as he interceded for Israel, he found that his prayers were blocked. And when he continued to pray, an angel, Gabriel came. Gabriel spoke to him and explained why the delay of the answers to his prayers. And Gabriel said to him that the reason his prayers were delayed was because there was a principality, a spirit being called Prince of Persia, who actually was opposing the prayers for Israel and was opposing the destiny of Israel. And that spirit, called the Prince of Persia, was what blocked the answers to the prayers, or delayed it. And Michael the Archangel was sent to intervene and, of course, fast track the process that Daniel could have received that
the
message.
vision you said you had last year, 2025.
Right. So the vision I had last year really is connected to that, because I heard spirit beings that were bound under the mountains and in the region, and they were complaining among themselves, and they were also complaining to God, saying, how long will we be bound? Why can't we go and do what we are assigned to do, but in our kingdom, to attack Israel and to bring war in the region, and to raise up war in the earth, and to ultimately annihilate Israel. And of course, at the time, I just knew that it was ancient spirits. At the time, I only knew that being someone who have read the Bible, I realized it sounded a bit like Armageddon and so on. But what they wanted was to provoke a situation that would create war. Yeah. And of course, naturally, if you see a situation happening where there is war, or there's attacks or attempts to come against Israel, naturally, you'll also find that there would be a reaction to defend or protect oneself. So that's basically my commentary on that as well.
Well, you have really answered the question, but thank you for your
And
response.
in other words, what I'm saying is that there is a push to bring war in the region.
Yes.
And some of this emanates from the demonic realm, because they want to destroy Israel. And what that would cause is, if there is such a push, then there would be a pushback coming, which came back, of course, from Iraq and from Israel and the United States.
Oh, so a pushback which came from Israel and the United States, but in terms of official sources, to my knowledge, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't pretend to know everything.
Neither do I.
This attack of the US and Israel wasn't because Iran attacked either country. It's because of allegations in relation to, the military propensity or the view that militarily Iran would be doing certain things in relation to nuclear weapons. So when you say
yes, but the military, there being a propensity is to create new nuclear weapons. We do know that the Prince of Persia, from the time of when the Shah of Iran was removed from office, that Israel. That Iran became
we have different viewers and listeners who are listening, watching. Some people may not be familiar with the Shah of Iran. You in your response, you can probably say something about that history for a bit. Continue.
Yes. So once that change of government came place, there was clearly a hostility towards Israel, and that hostility is not new. It has been there for a long time. And it is something that has been developing. It includes what you have described.
Essentially, that was about, was it 1979 thereabouts, sir?
About 1978, 1979. I'm not an historian,
so
but yeah,
what we have now are a series of ayatollahs.
Series of ayatollah who have sworn that death to Israel and the extermination of the Jewish people.
Okay, understood. I just wanted, for the benefit of those listening and watching, to understand that in case they need that.
And so what I would say, as I say, I can't speak too much onto the historical side of things. Most of what I can speak to is from what I received spiritually. Yeah. But we do know, based on what we have heard.
The Lord would not tell you anything which is inaccurate. So I wouldn't worry about that too much, Apostle Richards. Apostle Richards, President Trump, remember the topic, because I want to see if you can tie all of this back for us, if you can.
Sure, I'll try.
Possible connection, and I remember the word is possible in the topic. Possible connection between President Trump, his term in office. We dealt with the blood moon yesterday, so let's go now to the present war in Iran. The connection between President Trump and the present war in Iran, in the Middle East. Let's just say in the Middle East. My apologies. Humble apologies. In the Middle East, for clarity. You want to say anything on that, sir? You see any connection, or you don't see a connection?
Well,
yesterday you did say some things about President Trump, but you didn't say, you said you don't necessarily see him as, well, I don't want to say, you didn't really say that. I asked you whether you saw him as a King Cyrus, and you did not really agree with that, but you saw him as an important figure. You mentioned words like bull in a china shop, that that kind of thing. Continue.
Yes. Well, some years ago, before President Trump became president, the Lord showed us that he would become president of America. He showed us that he would win the first election, that he would lose the second election, and that he would win the third election. Okay. And we basically saw that. One of the things the Lord said.
Yesterday, he didn't tell us that you saw in a vision that he would lose the second election. But anyway, continue.
No, I didn't mention that. That's true. We never got into that part of it.
That is interesting.
We never did get into that part of it. But what I saw, it wasn't a vision. It was just God speaking to me and just telling me, giving me information. All right. And so what I heard was in relation to him, first of all, before he even, his purpose, and a big part of his assignment was that he would function like a bull in a china shop, which is quite poetic, I think, when, and it's not new with God and Bible. So he obviously became someone who became a disruptor for China. And a bull in a china shop means that when you send a bull in a china shop, you're destroying a lot of, what do you call it now? Glasses.
All those
Yes.
nice, lovely teacups and so on will be will be broken.
Will be
Yes.
all destroyed, broken, all over the place, and
Yeah.
chaotic somewhat,
Splinters all
and
over.
all of that. Yeah. So there would be a bit of destruction, chaos, and all of that.
But to what end? Did you get any revelation as to what end he is to be a bull in a china shop?
Bull in a china shop.
To
Well,
what end?
not in the vision, not in the revelation that I got. I just got that he would be a bull in a china shop, a spanner in the works. We knew that it would be in relation to world power and what would happen across the global space, the geopolitical space, and so on. That he would also be a spanner in the works in relation to that, how the nations were happening.
But apart from saying that again, did you get any further revelation other than him being a spanner in the works and a bull in the china shop in relation to what exactly? The Middle East, or was it generally?
It was related to the general environment, but mainly in relation to the global space, the order of the world order at the time, things that related to the economic order as well, things that related to what related to church, related to Israel. Things that so he would come in as a disruptor of the agenda of the globalists, for example. So he would come in as a disruptor of the of the agenda of the globalists, spanner in the works, and that the Lord would use him to trump many of his enemies.
Oh. And
we did see that happening. We did see that playing out in a lot of ways. Some of it was more personal to him. When he went to court, and of course there were people, and all that happened in the courts. Some of what took place in relation
I won't go into that past now, only because of limited time. But specifically, before we wrap this morning, sir, I want to raise this with you. Some persons, just as how Persia, as it once was, and there is now Iran, which is said to more or less cover up certainly a part of that geographical space, and of course the people are there, ethnically speaking. Some persons will argue that the Israel that you are speaking about, the Israel that many persons are speaking about, is not the same Israel that would have existed back in, for example, biblical times, for want of a better terminology. What, if anything, is your response to that?
Well, what they would have to answer is, why is it that when Israel was formed, that it was formed formed in a way that fulfilled Bible prophecy? Why is it that it happened on the Jubilee years? Because in the Jubilee year was exactly when it took place. We also know that
a coincidence. I'm just saying that. Someone might say something.
Well, it would take a lot to, although we know the Rothschilds were involved in part of that process. The coincidence would have been too much for human beings to manage, because it would have required a lot of coordination at the international.
The Rothschild banking family.
Yes. I understand that they were partially involved in like with the 50 years before 1948.
I see.
No, before 1948, a little before that. 50 years before, they were involved in lobbying for Israel to become a nation, and there were others who were also involved in that as well. Excuse me.
Apostle Richard, but what we do now, because of time, we're going to leave it there for today, but I want to thank you for returning. You have, in fact, helped us to understand some more in relation to what you were discussing yesterday. Very interesting conversation. Unfortunately, we are completely out of time. These discussions can go on forever, but I want to thank you for being with us 2 days in this week, sir. Thank you for your time.
I would like to thank you so much for having me as well.
Thank
God bless you and love FM.
Have a good one, sir.
Bye-bye.
And thank you, viewers and listeners, for being with us today. Join us again next week for more discussions on topical and controversial issues. Dr. Dylan Toussaint will be, of course, hosting next week. as we continue to alternate. Visit the Love 101 YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the family station, Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station of Jamaica. And thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests, I am Stokeley Marshal, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Jukal.
For all your supermarkets, everyday needs, and much more,